As the familiar scent of worn books and hushed voices filled his nostrils, he paused for a moment, a smile ghosting on his lips. It was a scent imbued with memories, a scent that felt more like home than any four-walled structure ever did. 5 orbits of the sun, and the Institute had evolved from an alien landscape to a comforting sanctuary, a home away from home. His gaze skimmed over the familiar faces, his heart thrumming with a rhythm that echoed the pulse of the school. It was a living, breathing entity, alive with the vibrant energy of knowledge seekers. It was his heart's echo, the same rhythm that had urged him to initiate the intensive workshops decades ago. An immersion into the unknown, a daring plunge into the deep ocean of consciousness exploration. The Institute was not just another building, another establishment. It was a beacon in a world starved of understanding, a beacon illuminating the path for those brave enough to seek the truth. The premier destination for those who dared to challenge the limits of their minds, who dared to breach the confines of their comfort zones. It was not just an institute, it was the cradle of exploration. A sense of nostalgia washed over him as his mind wandered back to the early days, the image of a modest hall teeming with eager minds sprawled on mats, the tinny sound of his voice amplified by a trusty old boombox, the palpable excitement in the air. Those were the days when consciousness exploration was a path tread only by the brave and the curious. A small chuckle escaped him as he glanced around, the Institute now a fortress of teaching and technological advancements. The evolution was stark and undeniable. The mats had been replaced by check units, offering each explorer a cocoon to delve into their minds, unbothered by the world outside. The boombox had been replaced by the best of sound technology, a companion that guided the explorers as they ventured into the uncharted territories of their minds. It wasn't just about advancing technology, it was about empowering individuals. It was about breaking free from the shackles of age-old beliefs, man-made philosophies that guided the masses like puppets on strings. Here at the Institute, they didn't just teach, they encouraged exploration. They instilled in each explorer the belief that they possessed the power to find the answers. Answers that lay deep within the layers of their consciousness, waiting to be uncovered. Yes, it was a journey of self-exploration, a journey to unveil the truth that every explorer of consciousness knew. We are more than what meets the eye, we are more than our physical bodies, we are explorers, adventurers, seekers of truth. So our protagonist took to the stage to proclaim his truth. The air in the room was taut with anticipation, hearts hammering against rib cages as every soul prepared to venture onto the path he would lead them. Their realities would be skewed, their perceptions challenged. He beckoned them to open their minds to a truth he had spent a lifetime discovering. A truth buried beneath the sediment of falsehoods that humanity, all 7 billion pulsing hearts and their curious minds, had been conditioned to believe since the day they had taken their first breath. It was a paradox of existence, a living lie deeply etched into the subconscious of every individual. The first falsehood, the claim that consciousness was simply a byproduct of the biological brain, that their thoughts, their emotions, their very essence was nothing but electrical impulses ricocheting off the walls of their cranium. The belief was deeply ingrained, a lie weaved into the fabric of society. He had been one of those unsuspecting souls once, a puppet dancing to the tunes of these misleading beliefs. He had seen through the charade. He had realized that they were more, so much more. They were not mere vessels for neurons to perform a choreographed dance. They were the dance. They were the music. They were the entire ballet of existence. The second lie, the idea that they were helpless, shackled by the chains of their inherent sinful nature, incapable of seeking the answers to their own questions. This fallacy had plagued humanity, stunting its spiritual evolution, leaving it clinging to external belief systems for guidance and salvation. He would shatter these illusions, these false narratives, and awaken the dormant seeker within them. He would be the catalyst for their transformation, the key to their evolution. They had the power, the capability, they just needed to recognize it, to wield it. They needed to defy the ingrained conditioning, to see beyond the indoctrination that was as much a part of society as the air they breathed. The challenge was daunting, but the reward was invaluable. Self-discovery. He prompted them to contemplate. What would they have believed, had they been born in a different corner of the world? Would they still unfurl the same flag with pride? Would they bow before the same deity? They needed to understand that their beliefs, their identities were a product of their environment, their culture. To explore consciousness, they had to dig deep, to peer into the abyss of their minds, and identify the beliefs that held them back. They had to realize that the answers they sought were not out there, but in here, within them. They were explorers, pioneers of consciousness, and like any explorer, they needed a compass, a guide. For some, it was deep meditation. For others, it was yoga. Some found solace in shamanic practices, while others found enlightenment in lucid dreaming. He had found his guiding light in out-of-body exploration, a passion that had fueled him for over 40 years. He had written about his experiences, about his findings, a testament to his dedication to his life's work. The work was not just a job for him, it was his calling, his raison d'etre. In his journey, he had discovered that self-discovery was not just exciting, it was exhilarating. It was the reason why the Institute drew seekers year after year. It was the reason why he had dedicated his life to training others in the art of exploring consciousness beyond the physical, in shifting their states of consciousness to unearth the truths that lay within. Yet, despite the progress they had made, despite the strides they had taken toward understanding their true selves, they still knew so little. They had no idea where they were heading, what awaited them in the transition of consciousness they called death. They planned their tomorrows, they strategized their futures, yet they had no idea what lay beyond the veil of life. It was an absurd paradox, a form of amnesia that plagued them. They didn't even know what they were, where they came from, or where they were heading. No mere mortal gaze was this. Not confined by retinal cones and rods, his view spanned an astonishing 360 degrees, unfettered by earthly ties. A cosmic being enveloped by an aura of enlightenment, he saw through the veil of reality and peered into the heart of existence. He spoke of us, of the collective we, not as human but as pure consciousness, an undying spirit that transcends form and figure. The crux of his credo was that we are interdimensional beings journeying through existence, shifting from one state to another, seeking knowledge, growth, and evolution. The biological form, he argued, was nothing more than a vessel, an anchor grounding us to earthly experiences, and when we shed our physical bodies, our senses alter to resonate with the new plane of existence. Eccentric and compelling, he mused on the nature of identity, suggesting that our mortal constructs of gender and humanity were hindrances to our progress. They were anchors, he claimed, that bound us to this mortal plane. He drew parallels between knowledge and experience, elucidating how the latter imparts a deeper understanding than the former could ever hope to. He suggested that we learn, grow, and evolve by donning the skin of what we seek to comprehend, thus becoming what we wish to learn. He ruminated on the flawed narratives we've been fed about our evolutionary cycle, asserting that we evolve through, not into forms. His voice swelled with urgency as he pressed this truth upon his listeners. We're not just human, he urged, but consciousness, a soul, or whatever you wish to name it, using various forms as tools for exploration, growth, and evolution. And then he introduced an ominous note into his narrative, addressing something seldom discussed, the distorted representations of non-physical reality, or what we often term heaven. He scoffed at the fantastical juvenile tales often spun about this ethereal realm. Instead, he posed an intriguing possibility. What if there is no gravity, no air, no biological bodies, no senses as we know them in the afterlife? His insights into the non-physical realm were startling, evocative of a world that bears no resemblance to our own. Without matter or decay, time loses meaning and aging ceases to exist. And death? It's just another transition. An end to the mortal existence and a gateway into another realm, a subtler reality, more susceptible to the molding of thought. But his revelations weren't all benign. He warned that as reality becomes less dense, it becomes more thought-responsive. A daunting prospect, no doubt, for those who might not have gained control over their innermost thoughts. And yet he posited that our existence, with its physical and emotional trials, is perhaps nothing more than a training ground for consciousness, preparing us for greater challenges, broader realms, and grander experiences in the cosmos. These contemplations serve as an emphatic reminder. We are, at our core, consciousness in a constant state of evolution, shifting between states of existence, learning, growing, and navigating through the vibrant tapestry of the universe. The room fills with a palpable silence, as if the air itself is pressing its ears closer, keen to imbibe the revelations he's about to unfold. Our protagonist peers through his scratched lenses, eyes weathered from the ceaseless journey of self-discovery, inquisitive as ever, exploring the concept of existence and consciousness. an air of seasoned wisdom that wafts off him in silent waves, a testament to the countless roads he has traveled, both in this physical realm and beyond. Isn't it terrifying to imagine a realm where all is instantly responsive to thought, he muses, setting the tone for his discourse. A world so thought-responsive that the barely controllable chaos of the human mind could wreak unimaginable havoc. A realm where spiritual maturity, self-control, and understanding of non-physical energy become not just desirable, but vital. It's a concept that shakes the very foundation of the reality we've grown accustomed to. Consider Earth, he posits, a slowed-down, dense reality, an ideal training ground for consciousness, where developing souls are allowed the freedom to experiment, to learn without causing irreparable harm. His voice bears the weight of wisdom that could only come from witnessing the inexplicable vistas of the non-physical. Drawing in a deep breath, he articulates the urgent need to understand this imminent non-physical reality, to transcend our rigid belief systems, and instead, embark on a path of self-empowered exploration. His conviction in the creative power of thought energy is resolute. It's as though his words seek to elevate the collective consciousness to a realm beyond this material reality, where thoughts, positive or negative, have the power to construct existence. He acknowledges the earth as a densely woven tapestry of physical matter, where the manifestation of thought into reality is sluggish, almost imperceptible. Yet, as one transitions to the non-physical, he attests, the rules change drastically. A realm where there's no aging, no death, just the fluid, dynamic existence, molded by thought. He speaks from the deep well of personal experience, from profound explorations into the enigmatic dimensions of consciousness. The narrative then turns to the implications of such a reality. He elucidates the idea of collective realities, a realm beyond the physical, woven together by shared thoughts. He warns of the potential pitfall that lies in accepting these collective realities as one's own, the risk of settling for the immediate instead of journeying deeper into the spectrum of consciousness. Now consider this, he said, his voice softly echoing through the haze of half-eaten burgers and coffee steam. We're all bound for the cosmos, every last one of us, and ain't nobody can say otherwise, no matter how tightly they clutch their pearls or their holy books. Leaning forward, he argued against the conventional notion of heaven, dismissing it as a limited construct of the human mind. He gestured around, his hands making a sweeping motion in the air, as though brushing away unseen cobwebs. People reckon the dearly departed have taken some heavenly escalator up into the pearly gates. Now, if that's the case, why can a psychic still chit-chat with your dear old grandma? Ain't because they've got an all-access pass to paradise. It's because grandma ain't gone far. She's standing right here, just out of sight. And that's because she, just like you, still believes she's flesh and blood, bound by the mortal coil. He took a pause, swirling the coffee in his cup, contemplating the dark liquid as if it held some cosmic secret. His musings brought him to the crux of his argument, the illusion of self and the barriers it imposed. See, we're all cosmonauts in our own right, he said, the corners of his eyes crinkling, explorers of consciousness, shedding our human forms as we plunge deeper into ourselves. Meditate deep enough, and you'll find yourself becoming a blob of conscious awareness, unchained from the notion of form. Now that's the real heaven, if you ask me. He found common ground with the wisdom of the East, invoking the teachings of Buddhism and Hinduism, of reincarnation and the wheel of life. Billions of folks on the other side of the globe, they call it the wheel. We're all hitching a ride on it, and ain't no one forcing us. We're here because we're clinging on to something, a false idea of who we are. We're dragging ourselves back into the physical realm because we're afraid to let go. His tone hardened as he moved on to the next point, attacking the belief systems that dictated human life. He was no stranger to the effects of indoctrination, admitting that he was also a product of the same societal conditioning. Yet he encouraged the listeners to question and challenge these beliefs. It takes guts, he admitted, to dig through the muck of ingrained beliefs. It takes courage to ask why you believe what you believe. It ain't easy to break free from the consensus. Bill posited that the inability to accept a non-physical reality was a significant hindrance, not just for individual spiritual growth, but also for the collective evolution of humanity. He emphasized the importance of knowledge about the afterlife, and not just the rose-tinted heaven and hell version that most adhered to. It's up to us, he said, his voice firm with conviction. We gotta rip off these rose-colored glasses and face reality as it is, not as we've been taught to see it. We're more than just our bodies. We're spiritual beings hitching a ride in a biological vehicle. But to realize this, we gotta explore our consciousness. We gotta question, experience, and understand. His gaze softened, and he allowed a small smile to play on his lips. Don't take my word for it. Become an explorer yourself. It takes guts to challenge what you've been taught, but only through your own personal experiences will you discover the truth. And trust me, there's more to us than meets the eye. We're all more than what we appear to be. We are explorers, he began, navigating the room with his gaze. Explorers peering through the looking glass of our biology into the cosmic dance that exists beyond the ordinary, the mundane. It's in our nature to journey, a symphony of interconnected thoughts, beliefs, and perceptions shaping us into an intricate microcosm of the grand cosmos. There's a cadence to his speech, a melody of conviction and truth that belied years of traversing the labyrinth of the mind. This path, dear friends, he pointed to his chest, is inward, into the realms of our own consciousness, into our very essence. It's a personal journey, a quest tailored to each individual's unique rhythm. The prize, he continued, is not just the journey but the wisdom we gather, the understanding of our true selves. Not the selves we parade in front of society, but the deeper, truer self that remains hidden beneath layers of social conditioning and fear. The room fell into a hush, 1,000 thoughts dancing in the silence as he ushered them into uncharted territories of their minds. Become not just a reader but an explorer. Do not settle for mere belief, strive for experience. The universe, it lies within your reach, hidden behind the veil of your conscious awareness. And once you lift that veil, what you discover will be beyond words. His laughter echoed through the silence, a jovial note underlining the mind-boggling truth he just revealed. His voice then took on a more somber tone as he looked out at his audience. It's high time we matured, shedding the constraints of our self-concepts and beliefs that tie us to this three-dimensional reality. The universe is calling, and we must answer. An impromptu Q&A session ensued. Questions about techniques for spiritual exploration, lucid dreaming, and the afterlife were thrown his way. Each one was met with a broad smile, and he navigated them like a seasoned sailor steering through stormy seas. The voyage into the afterlife is merely a transition of consciousness, a shift into another realm. We shall focus on connecting with our higher selves, the spiritual essence beyond our physical form. His words painted a vivid picture of a future where people no longer fear death, but see it as another step in their cosmic journey. The ultimate goal of our spiritual journey isn't a universal one. It's personal, unique to each one of us. He talked about lucid dreaming too, the practice of gaining control over one's dreams, as another gateway to the exploration of consciousness. Lucid dreams are experiences where you carry a percentage of conscious awareness, an essential stage where you can demand to encounter your higher self, even initiate an out-of-body experience. Yet amidst the profound wisdom he imparted, the underlying message was clear. Humanity's journey, like a ship setting sail, has only just begun. The real voyage lies within, in understanding the true nature of our consciousness, and in doing so, truly understanding the universe. Dare to dream, he urges, and while you're at it, why stop at merely being aware that you're dreaming? The sparks in his eyes mirror the fireworks of his narratives. His voice dips and peaks like a scenic drive through rolling hills. His narrative branches out like the tree of life, touching upon mystical realms, cultural references, and the poignant existential contemplation. A playful challenge is embedded in his words, an invitation to the listener to scale the heights of their awareness, a journey where the destination is a step above where one currently stands. He doesn't shy away from questioning the known and the established, shaking up beliefs like a barkeep shakes a cocktail, mixing and muddling until they're almost unrecognizable, rendering them palatable, digestible. For him, everything tangible seems transient and futile. His fingers tap rhythmically on the table, creating a symphony with his words. It's all but ephemeral debris, isn't it? He would muse, a half smile on his face, speaking of our worldly possessions. His fixation is not on the transient, but the immutable, the state of consciousness, the hidden gem that, according to him, we carry beyond the physicality of life and death. He reels his listeners in, with his raw and engaging philosophy, his words punctuated by the clinking of glasses and the hum of conversations in the background. A murmur of agreement, a nod of comprehension, a shared laughter, all part of the candid camaraderie of his talks. Yet he insists this pursuit of heightened consciousness and questioning the known is not a solemn endeavor. It's meant to be fun, a riotous exploration of one's inner landscape. His voice lowers conspiratorially as he confesses, "My, the adventures I've had. I've floated in realms unknown, resonated with vibrations unheard of." At times he would toss his head back and laugh, the sound echoing around the room, his face lit up with the exhilaration of his recounted experiences. And while he knew these tales would sound bizarre to the uninitiated, he cared not. This was a journey he insisted upon undertaking individually, joyfully. Daily he would dwell on these states of being, unraveling years of societal conditioning, discarding antiquated beliefs. His narrative takes a turn, becoming a serene river that carries away the sediment of false notions and societal impositions. He shares his revelation, his voice filled with both disbelief and liberation. "All the beliefs I had nurtured over the years turned out to be flukes. Can you believe that?" He poses, his question left hanging in the air. This realization had been as much liberating for him as it had been daunting, and he reveled in the resulting exhilaration. But the shadow of a darker thought dapples his narrative, the idea of nightmares and unpleasant experiences in this journey of self-exploration. His expression sober, he explains, "Even the nightmares, the unpleasant dreams, they're all part of the journey, part of the lesson. Everything we create, every challenge, every conflict helps us grow." "Consider," he said, his voice a melodious stream navigating the valley of silence. "People deep in shamanic trance, they brush their arms and legs for they see serpents. Fear, my friends, fear manifesting physically, becoming real in an altered state." The very fabric of reality was questioned as he presented the theory of the inner becoming the outer. In his world, shadows of fear weren't mere metaphysical concepts, but entities that demanded acknowledgement and understanding. He likened it to shedding light on a horrifying nightmare. Only by confronting these monstrosities could one hope to dispel them. In the crowd, a question arose, a call for clarity amid an ocean of thoughts. A man spoke of experiencing an incredible, all-consuming love, a feeling so intense it washed away the vestiges of fear. His query hovered in the room, tangible yet ethereal, like a veil of mist. How did this ocean of unconditional love fit into the explorer's continuum of consciousness? The answer came in soft whispers, filled with the humility of a man who'd walked the thin line between the known and the unknown. For our journeyman, this overwhelming sensation of love wasn't a foreign entity, but a connection to our deepest self, our true form. The world understood it as love. He saw it as pure existence. With a certain distaste for worn-out expressions and overused words, he treaded lightly, avoiding society's cliched interpretation of love, soul, or heaven. He saw these as concepts that fell short of encapsulating the profound essence of existence. To him, the spiritual journey was a quest for this elusive beingness, a yearning to simply be love. A question, sharp and unexpected, pierced the veil of tranquility, regarding shared out-of-body experiences and their impact on male virility. The seasoned voyager scoffed, dismissing the notion, asserting that such physical concepts were trivial when exploring the vast expanse of consciousness. "We are not," he argued, "fundamentally sexual beings. We exist beyond the simplistic duality of form-based reality." His eyes sparkled with a fervor, a passion born from the marriage of experience and wisdom. He advocated for the unrelenting pursuit of our spiritual essence, whatever one might choose to label it. The further one journeyed within themselves, the wider the path to enlightenment became. The connection with our highest self reflected on our passage through life and death, making these experiences imperative. He firmly believed in the indomitable power of our consciousness, how it transcended our mortal existence. Your beliefs, he opined, were inconsequential to reality. It simply was, untouched by subjective human belief systems. Thus, he urged for the exploration of our spiritual essence. The more we connected to it, the less susceptible we became to the illusions that cropped up on our paths. But he saw not a world on the brink of a spiritual awakening, rather a world still shackled to form-based belief systems. He lamented humanity's failure to comprehend the vastness of existence, the futility of our self-imposed chains. His life was a testament to the struggle of transcending these boundaries, an everlasting quest to embrace the boundless essence of our being. Life, he sees, is no bed of roses. Its rugged terrain, treacherous cliffs, storms that toss us about, its hardship and turmoil, strife and conflict. We wear our human skin, our biological casings, cling to them desperately, forgetting that we are so much more. For him, this existence is not the end goal, not the promised paradise or the feared inferno. It's merely a phase, a stepping stone on the path of an infinite journey. Dusting off the shackles of our human perspective, He dares us to step into the realm of the divine. Beyond the confines of our corporeal selves, we are pure consciousness, fragments of the universal essence wearing these mortal shells temporarily. And he believes with an intensity that burns through his words that this existence, our life on earth, serves a purpose, to train us, to mold us, to prepare us for our true existence beyond the veil of mortality. Ponder on this, he urges, even if the earth were to crumble and disintegrate beneath our feet right now. Not a single one of us would truly die. Our consciousness, our true essence, it would continue, moving on to another level of reality, another dimension. For in the grand scheme of things, what we perceive as death is merely a transition, a change of scenery in the vast theater of existence. The man casts his gaze at the cosmos, at the trillions of galaxies with their billions of planets. He sees the infinite potential for realities like ours. And in this grand tapestry of existence, he sees us as learners. We have entered this world, this realm of physicality and duality, to internalize experiences, to comprehend concepts such as courage, self-sacrifice, and separation. Concepts that hold no meaning in the perfect, harmonious realms of the spirit, but are intrinsic to our growth. To learn, he believes, we must become what we seek to understand. To truly know courage, one must be courageous. To understand self-sacrifice, one must experience it. These lessons, these experiences, they serve to refine our soul, to advance us on our path of spiritual evolution. After all, we are immortal beings on an eternal journey. Sensing the discomfort at his revelations, the man chuckles lightly. The idea of immortality can indeed be overwhelming, he admits. But once we accept our nature, once we recognize our true selves, the insignificance of our mortal lives comes into focus. The life we lead here on this planet at this moment is but a blink in the eternal cosmic timescale. As the atmosphere around him filled with the curious silence of his listeners, he paused for a moment, basking in the pregnant quietude. His eyes, aged by wisdom, sparkled with a twinkle of mischief, echoing the rebelliousness of his youth that still clung to him like a spectral shadow. Drawing a deep breath, he leaned back into his chair. His gaze seemed to traverse beyond the physical walls around him, reaching out to the infinity of the cosmos. His voice softened to a near whisper, as though he was sharing a cherished secret, a precious relic of his life's journey. We're all stardust, my friends, immortal beings on a cosmic journey, donned in this mortal coil for but a fleeting moment. We're here to learn, to grow, to mature, to explore the confines of this self-imposed isolation within our bodies, and to burst forth, liberated and enlightened. A wistful smile crept up his craggy face, carving deeper lines into his sun-kissed skin. And so we venture forth not into the unknown, but into a forgotten familiarity, an ancient home. We plunge into the abyss only to realize it's not an abyss at all, but a luminous ocean of cosmic consciousness. He stretched his arms, reaching out as though he could touch the fabric of the universe itself. His voice carried an infectious warmth. You see, if this planet was to vanish in the blink of an eye, it wouldn't matter. Not really. Not to our essence, our consciousness. We simply move on from one vibrational level of reality to the next, a seamless transition. Because we are not these bodies, we are not these earthly experiences. We are, always have been, and always will be. So much more. The room reverberated with his words, echoing the profound truth in his assertions. As he concluded his narrative, he offered a nod of gratitude, a silent acknowledgement of their shared journey. Thank you, my fellow cosmic explorers. I appreciate your presence, your willingness to question, to seek. Remember, life's a daring adventure or nothing at all. Keep exploring, keep evolving, and above all, keep questioning. Here's to our immortal journey, until we meet again in another fold of reality, or maybe the next class. With that, he got up, leaving his listeners to ponder on the powerful insights he had shared, their minds and hearts touched by his extraordinary perspective. The room buzzed with hushed whispers and a sense of profound revelation, the echoes of his words still ringing in their ears. After all, once you've tasted the cosmos, the mundane never tastes quite the same.